See, efficiency. Instead of having 2 Q&A, we are going to have only 1. Now it's my pleasure to invite Fred Matiang'i, the Cabinet Secretary in charge of Information, Communication and Technology, and also Acting Minister for Lands. So who are the question on shares and lands? This is the guy to answer that. Fred Matiang'i.
I thought the ambassador could forget about the lands bit so that I don't have to say anything. I have to say anything about it. Anyway, good evening. Ambassador Robinson Githai, my 2 brothers and sister from the private sector, my 2 brothers from Parliament, the Honorable Ndung'u Githinji and the Honorable Ken Obura, and the Consular General here in LA, and all of you fellow Kenyans who are here. It's very gratifying to be here today. First of all, let me begin, I think, in all fairness and sincerity, by delivering the President's apology to you, an unreserved and unequivocal apology to you for failing to turn up here. It was because of circumstances that were totally beyond his and all of our control. The President gives me a message to you, and he says this, that he would like to come to the west coast of the US before Christmas this year. And because he was coming here partly because of the Milk and Global Institute Conference, and he was going to be here at LA, but when he visits, he probably will spare time to be at least in 2 places within the West Coast. So there may be a possibility either of him going to Seattle or to San Francisco when he comes to here. That said, I want to say personally, and on behalf of my colleagues in government, how grateful I am to have met all of you who are here today. I have listened to all the great points that you have made, and I want to assure you that all the messages that you have given us for the President will reach home. Some of the issues we can deal with, because I believe that because of the collective responsibility of government, where we have a role, we have to play it. And some of the issues that you have to raise here tonight, and some you have raised, those that we will need to deal with immediately, we will deal with. And those that require presidential attention, we will turn them to him. I want to thank His Excellency, our Ambassador Robinson Githinji, for the great work that he has done here in terms of strengthening our mission in the United States of America. And we all understand why the US is a particularly important station for us as a country. Not just because of the economy of the US, but because of the opportunities that are in this country and because of the numbers of our people that work, live, and study in the United States of America. We are keen as government that our representation in the United States of America is not just effective, but it's also cognizant of the realities and the needs of the population of our people in this country. So I am very grateful personally, and on behalf of my colleagues in government, I would like to commend Ambassador Githinji for the great work he continues to do, and the entire team we have here, including the Consular General here at LA. I thank my colleagues who have come with us from the private sector, wonderful and great people, both Ambassador Awori and Bob Collymore, who have made great contributions to our country. It's true, as Carol says, and I can testify to this on behalf of government, that we have a very patriotic private sector that is not just in our country to make money, but they are there also to make significant contributions to the development of our country. Many of the private sector players in our country have contributed a lot to the growth of our economy, to the development of our talent, education of our people, and great things that are happening, especially in the infrastructure and ICT sectors of our country. And for this, we remain very grateful, and we continue to assure that we will make our contribution as government to remain faithful and effective partners to the private sector, because that is the only way our economy is going to go forward. Now, that said, I thank the honorable members of parliament. And again, everywhere we go, I remember last year when we were at the ITU meeting in Busan in South Korea, during the elections, we were the only country out of the over 65 countries in the room that was accompanied by a committee from parliament. And I took a lot of my time was spent explaining, especially the African countries and African delegations that were there, how we work with our members of parliament, because virtually every African country was asking me, how do you manage to work with committees of parliament, and how do you develop relations, and you're working so seamlessly and effectively with them here, because our members of parliament were working very effectively as we were campaigning for Kenya's seat in the Council of ITU. And I said it's very simple. Our constitution is very strong, and we have sworn to protect, defend, and live by that constitution, which says that government is three branches: the executive branch, the legislative arm, and the judicial arm of government. And parliament is as much government as the executive branch of government, and the judiciary too. So we spend less time arguing about our mandates and more time working for the people, because we serve the same people and we serve the same country. I'm therefore very, very grateful indeed for the strong relationship that we have with the members of parliament, as testified by the two who are here today. Now let me spend the rest of my 5 or 6 minutes to say this. If my boss and our president was here today, he probably, or I know for sure, he would have presented to you, as Kenyans who live in the United States, the state of our nation. We don't talk about the State of the Union because we are not a federal state ourselves. He will have given you a report on the state of our nation. And I want, on his behalf, to start by telling you this. The state of our nation is strong, and the state of our nation is thriving. Every indicator, and mark my words, every indicator you choose to use to measure the development of our country today demonstrates one thing: that our country is growing stronger, our economy is growing stronger, and our country is soaring. Whether you start with the service delivery, which is the focus of our president, because our president is so passionate about service delivery to the people, because these are his words. He says, government means nothing if government is not serving the people. And we have all taken up this mantra from our president to ensure that our focus as government is delivering services to our people. The president is committed to running a 21st century modern government that is information-driven, a knowledge-based economy, an open society that respects freedoms and rights of the people. And because of that, that's why the president led the initiative of Huduma Centers, a one-stop shop environment where you get all the services that you need. For those of you who have visited Kenya recently, you know you can deal with your birth certificate, your driving license, you can deal with your ID card, and everything in one particular place. We are starting a new project now. We are calling it the Ease of Doing Business, because we want all business permits that you need to be able to operate a business in Kenya to be given through only one window, so that you can apply and get your license and get all the permits you need to do your business in one place. You don't have to run from immigration to NSSF to Ministry of Lands to immigration and so on and so forth, so that you can get all your services offered to you through one window. And that is because we are truly a digital government. We are migrating government services to the digital platform. Because you all know that analog government has no future. The future government is digital government, where you should be able to know what your government does on a day-to-day basis. And that's why I want to encourage all of you to always visit mygov.go.ke, because if you went to that platform, mygov.go.ke, you will basically see the President's diary on a day-to-day basis. You will look at what government ministers are doing on a day-to-day basis, and we report to the people of Kenya through that particular portal, mygov.go.ke. And many more things that are happening in our country intended to make sure that the service provision is improved. We are determined to give Kenyans 3 million title deeds by the year 2017, because we realized as a government that one reason why we have challenges is because Kenyans cannot borrow because they don't have title deeds. And when one of our colleagues raised the issue of titles in Nairobi, I am going to address that matter because of my new interesting responsibilities at the Ministry of Lands. And I'll try to ask Governor Gidero why we cannot build a framework where we can give you title deeds where you have letters of allotment and give you a moratorium of 2 or so years, because you need that title deed to be able to borrow money and complete your construction so that you can do the road. Because it makes much more sense. It makes much more sense that way to work in. We are solution-driven, we are result-oriented, and we are service-focused as a government. And that is what our president stands for, and that's what we stand for as a country. I said in every aspect of our economy, any indicator you choose will show you that we are growing. We are putting more money in education. We have transformed the bursary scheme. We have waived examination fees for standard 8 kids because we are interested in entry and having more children go into our classrooms and succeed. We have increased the bursaries for secondary schools as government. We are looking at how we can increase enrollment. In the last 2 years of President Kenyatta's government, we have connected more primary schools to the national grid, therefore they get electricity, more primary schools than had ever been connected in Kenya in its first 50 years of independence. And we are determined to do more because we are determined to have 5,000 megawatts come to the national grid. Because when people get power, it means a lot of economic activity can happen as a result. We are doing more in terms of technology and improving the ICT sector. And I want to thank Safaricom. I know because of the constraints of time, Bob did not have enough time to tell you the great things, for example, Safaricom has been doing, supporting innovation in our country. He only spoke about M-Pesa, M-Copper. There is M-Cow, there is M-Water. The M revolution is driving our country. And we thank private sector players like Safaricom for the tremendous contribution they have made. With 12 incubation centers or 12 ICT hubs in Kenya, 6 of them aligned to universities, we have probably the highest concentration of innovation centers in sub-Saharan Africa in one particular space. And we are increasing them. When I was here last November, we negotiated with Oracle to build a huge ICT hub in Eldoret because we want to move incubation outside to the rural areas so that we can enable rural populations in our country to also be involved in innovation. And a lot is happening in this sector. We are building infrastructure rapidly so that Kenyans can access the internet. We had the first phase of the national optic backbone infrastructure. The fiber is 4,300 kilometers. We are doing a second one that is 2,600 kilometers, and we are beginning to talk about a third phase that will do 3,000 kilometers in total. Our county connectivity program is determined to connect all 47 counties of Kenya by December this year, which means that there will be no excuse for anyone not to access internet, whether you are in Mandera, Garissa, Kisumu, or Nairobi, as it were. And private sector players are coming on board. Safaricom is doing great work. Liquid Telecom, Jamii, and the other private players who are also investing in ICT infrastructure, so that we can connect our people. We are creating a great communication community, as it were, in our country. These things are all indicative of the developments that are happening in our country, and I would like to encourage you as fellow Kenyans that we continue investing in our country, because we are not only doing well, but I think we are going places. I could go on and on. The reduction in the maternal mortality rates that has happened, the First Lady's Beyond Zero campaign, and what that has done to maternal health. We are moving the referral hospital system across the country. We want every one of the 47 counties to have at least 2 hospitals where you can have quality X-ray services, MRI services, and you can have dialysis done, so that people don't have to travel from Migori to come to Kenyatta National Hospital, or people don't have to travel from Voi to go to Mombasa, as it were. And that is why we went into the system of leasing medical equipment for hospitals, because we want to strengthen provision of health services in our country. Of course, you know the great work going on with SGR in our country. We are trying to build and strengthen the rail system. We are doing 10,000 kilometers of tarmac road in our country. It's a new program that we are starting. We want to be sure that some parts of Kenya that have never seen tarmac road will see tarmac road during the leadership of Uhuru Kenyatta. And this is because we want to open our country, because with this opening up of the country, we grow the opportunities for investment, and that is how best you fight poverty, as it were. And a lot more work is going on in many other sectors of our economy. We are targeting to do 1 million acres, put them under irrigation in the coastal province. And we hope that we want to make famine and lack of food a thing of the past in our country. And that is why we are putting a lot of resources now going into irrigation. One of the latest aspects of the President's reorganization of government, as you have noticed, is hiving away the water department from the Ministry of Environment and Forestry and hiving away irrigation from agriculture to create the Department of Water and Irrigation, so that we can intensify irrigation services in our country and provide food to our people. We are committed. The President is so committed to taking our country to the next level. If you see the passion with which the President approaches the slum upgrading project, if you have not been to Kibera recently, you might be shocked if you came there, because of the lighting, the streets that we've done there, the sewage system that we have done there, and in 2 weeks' time we are about to open new ultra-modern housing facilities in Kibera, constructed by the government. We would like, and I say this with confidence, and because this is one of the hallmarks of the leadership of our President, we would like to make the slum tourism of Kibera a thing of the past, so that, because that's not how we live. And this slum upgrading program is going on. You saw the President launched in Kisumu, Nyalenda. We are going to upgrade those informal settlements, and we will move on across the country. And where we upgrade the slums and the informal settlements, we're working on a framework where, again, we provide free Wi-Fi so that these people can come into the communication community. And I want to thank Bob Collymore and Safaricom for the support that they're providing towards that program. So a lot is happening in our country at this time. If I were to speak about all the programs we are undertaking and everything we are doing, we probably will not live here tonight. But let me say these 2 things, because I know how close and how serious they are to all of us as Kenyans. Security, and what we are doing with Kenyans who live out of the country now. It's true, as all of you have said, and my colleagues, the leaders wherewith here have said it very aptly. The challenge we face on terrorism is a global issue. It has nothing to do with Kenya as a country. We are doing our best, and I would like to confirm to you on behalf of government, we are doing our best. We are stepping up our game. We want to ensure that we remain secure. And as I say this, I would like to reiterate our position again, that no amount of threat, no amount of pressure of one kind or the other is going to break our spirit as a country and as a government. We remain strong, we remain focused, and we are committed to ensuring the integrity of our borders. And we've told international agencies, including the UN and the UNHCR, that it's okay, we are members of the United Nations, we are members of AU, that is fine, and we will deliver on our obligations as members of those international organizations. But our first and foremost responsibility as a government is the security of our people and the integrity of our borders. We have kept refugee camps in our country for 26 years. This is an international responsibility. If we are hurting, the international community should hurt with us. If we see certain things are wrong, the international community should do the same, and a time must come when we draw the line. If people also have to move and others shoulder the responsibilities that we have, that time has come. And those who, yes. So we will obey, and we will do what we are expected to do as faithful and respectful members of the international community. But we will proceed with the closure of some of those refugee camps because it's necessary, it's important for our country. And when we are doing so, I would like everyone to understand, and this is what government is saying, we are not acting irresponsibly. We have kept some of these camps for 26 years. The effects and the challenges we face are there for everyone to see. It's time that others also saw our side of the story. We will abide by what we are told by UNHCR and the rest, but we also expect them to understand why we are doing what we are doing. We are not going to leave Somalia because Kenyans are brave people. We do not retreat, we will not shirk, we will not hide from our responsibilities. We will go forward and we will continue to be in Somalia until the job is done. We did not go there to have fun. We went there because they had started kidnapping tourists within our borders. They had started interrupting our tourism and businesses in the coast. Until they keep the country safe and until they keep the thugs away from our borders, we will remain in Somalia. And therefore, government is stepping up in training, increasing the numbers, because we are keen to increase the ratio of police officers to the population. We are keen to modernize our security agencies. And during financial year 2015-2016, we just passed last week in the cabinet, we are going to have the highest possible expenditure for the security sector ever to be seen in independent Kenya, because we want to modernize the security forces, equip them better so that we can provide security for our people. And while we do this, it's important that we are all walking this road and this path together. We're united with the other arms of government in ensuring that we fight and confront terrorism. Assist us also where you can to increase the level of civic awareness, because the challenge we have in our country, I have to be very honest with you, is that the level of civic awareness is a bit low. Sometimes people think that security is a thing for government. They do not understand how it affects them. Now it's so clear that security affects all of us, and let us educate our people in whichever way you can. When you pass messages, when you meet people, let's pass this message. Each one of us needs to be security conscious. We are now each other's watchman. We are each other's keeper. And therefore, security begins with me and it begins with you before we go to government. This is the message the President has been making. When we went to raid a house in Runda to get 75 Chinese nationals who were running a cybercrime ring there, I was shocked that when the landlord spoke to us about that, he told us, and this is shocking, he told us they paid rent, 5 million shillings in cash. He had not seen them for a year. So he didn't know who his tenants were. And when we asked, how did you sign the agreement? He said, they came with an interpreter and I signed the agreement. And as far as he's concerned, he was fined with 5 million shillings. He didn't know what was happening in his house. Those people could have blown the entire of that street. So it demonstrates the level of civic awareness. When you are letting out your houses in Nairobi and elsewhere, instruct your lawyers and your property agents to profile the people who are renting your houses. It happens everywhere. When 2 years ago we started taking action on the operators of cyber cafes in Nairobi, we were under a lot of pressure as government. And we were doing what other people do. Malaysia does it, Singapore does it, other people do it. We are not profiling them because we hate them, but because we need to know who is that who's operating a cyber cafe at the end of the street. Because when our kids close school, they go back there, they pay 10 pop, and they watch pornography. We want to know who these people are, whether they are facilitating Al-Shabaab and the others. It's important that we do this. It's important for our country. It's important for the security of our nation and the welfare of our people. And that is the responsibility of government. So we're asking you, let's work together. And let's take this message to our people and encourage every person to be responsible enough to have enough information. On the question of Kenyans who are residing out of the country, I want to assure you that the government is committed to your individual welfare and security wherever you are. As long as you keep in touch with the mission, we are always on top of things. We are following up what's happening in South Africa keenly. It's unfortunate, and we know that 2 Kenyans were hurt in Durban. Our mission in South Africa has contacted the families, and our mission in South Africa is prepared and ready. We will evacuate if we need to, but we are engaged constantly. We are engaged constantly and monitoring the situation with the Kenyans through our mission in South Africa. The President receives reports on this. Of course, as you know, government protocol, the President demands and receives reports on this, on a regular basis, virtually on a 24-hour basis, because the security of every Kenyan, each Kenyan, wherever they are, is the responsibility of the President, and he takes it very seriously. And so he has asked me to tell you this, that we're watching that situation very keenly. We know that there's a conversation going on under the framework of the African Union, and we are in conversation with fellow African governments on the situation that's going on in South Africa, including with the government of South Africa, and everything is being done to ensure that that situation stabilizes or normalizes, and our people remain safe. Those who are studying in peace, and those who are working in peace. But we will not hesitate to take any action that will be required to. We have evacuated virtually all Kenyans from Yemen. And the government worked so hard. My colleague, Ambassador Mina, who was with me, but has a challenge with our family, and she probably may be traveling home because of that, has been working very hard on this. And the President also, again, has demanded reports on a regular basis. So we have been able to evacuate most of the Kenyans out of Yemen. There is no Kenyan in Yemen who is in danger. And we are seeking out any information to be sure that if there is any Kenyan who could be in danger, one way or the other, we are able to reach out to them, of course working with our other partners and members of the international community. And lastly, about Kenyans in the diaspora coming back to work home. We in the ICT sector are the greatest beneficiaries of the training of Kenyans that's happening in the diaspora. We're the greatest beneficiaries. Some of the people who are running our ICT sector key projects are people who are trained here, who have come from here. Engineer Victor Chalo, who's seated behind there, the Chief Executive Officer of the ICT Authority, who came with me, he could stand up and wave. Is an American-trained academic who came home after working with an American technology company to run the ICT sector. He is now the Chief Executive Officer of the ICT Authority. Evans Kahoto, who runs our ICT cybersecurity wing, is not with me. We hired him from San Francisco. And there are quite a number of Kenyans, Dr. Matunda and the others who have come, from here in Canada and other places, who are now beginning to beef up the numbers in the ICT sector in our country. We're very grateful for those of you who have expressed willingness to work with us. And of course, I'll use the words Bob Collymore used, that when you come, you'll find open arms, because we want to team up together and build our great country. And I think a hell lot of work is going on, as you can see from what I have said. When you have an opportunity to visit, please do visit. If there's anything that we need to know, do let us know. And I must leave with this message. The government in Kenya has changed. Governance has changed. Kenya is new. Kenya has got new leaders. A president you can get on Twitter. Ministers you can send emails to. Young, energetic people who work around the clock, who are interested in delivering service to the people. So please take advantage of this new development, and let's build a modern Kenya and a home for all of us, because I think better and greater days for our country lie ahead. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, CS. Another round of applause for our CS, who represented the government really well. Thank you. Thank you very much. I think you've all heard from the different angles from the private